Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you're doing well. This is going to be my monthly update for pan in every palette. The goal of this project is to one day have a pan in every palette. I have seen different variations of this project done so many times, but this particular hashtag was created by Lady Pans a Lot over on Instagram. I will have her Instagram account linked down below, along with everybody else that I can think of that's been doing this project. If you are somebody who's doing this project and you don't see your name down below, let me know and I'll add you in. But I am working on 3 palettes at a time. Not all of them are eyeshadows. Actually, only one of them has an eyeshadow that I'm working on. And my goal is to track my usage while I'm working on these pans of product and see how long it takes me to hit pan. Unfortunately, a lot of my makeup is pretty new and untouched. So as I'm tracking my usage that it takes to hit pan, I'm pretty much starting from scratch on a lot of these products. So it's kind of interesting to see how long it takes to hit pan. I like to start with the palette that I used the most over the past month, and that was definitely this little Lancome palette. It doesn't have a name. I believe it's a gift with purchase that I got a long time ago, but I'm trying to hit pan on this setting powder, face powder that is right here. I think I am unbelievably close to achieving that goal, but it has not happened as of yet. I am getting some hard pan. I am a greasy goober now that we're in the middle of summer, and sometimes that messes with the powder, but it's still working just fine. I managed to use this 16 times over the past month, which is pretty good. I've also started using it as an all-over setting powder. For a long time, I was using it just under my eyes, but I'm ready to hit pan on this. So I started using it as an all-over setting powder as well. And it helps because the foundation that I'm using is just a hair too dark. And this kind of helps even out everything a little bit, at least I hope it does, so that it matches the rest of my body a little bit better. I did also use this blush the other day. I really liked it. That was the blush that I was wearing in my Advent Calendar Project Pan update, if you're wondering. And it's very powdery. I don't think it would be too hard to hit pan on this because there is a lot of kick up every time I use it. I actually had so much powder from applying the blush that I ended up using it as an eyeshadow that day as well, because I had so much powder that I was like, what am I going to do with all this? So I used it as an eyeshadow too. But yeah, there is a really nice dip going on in that big pan, and I do expect there to be pan showing by next month's update, especially if I keep using it as an all-over setting powder as well as an under-eye setting powder. There is a two-way tie for the palette I used the next most, and I used both of them 3 times over the past month. The reason I only used my blush from my dark rose palette from BH Cosmetics is that I hit pan. So, and I hit a good size pan. I ended up hitting pan after 2 more uses, and then I used it one more time just to expand the pan a little, and I was like, whoa, that's good. I did it. As far as panning blushes go, this was relatively easy. Let me count how many uses it took me to actually hit pan. 46 uses. That is unbelievable. This was a palette that I've never used even once before, and I hit pan on that blush in 46 uses. I mean, I think you guys have seen some blushes like the Tarte Amazonian Clay palettes where people use those blushes for years without ever even hitting pan. I hit pan in 46 uses. That is crazy. And it's encouraging. I mean, I have a lot of blush, lifetime's worth, and if it would make sense for me to come back to this blush in another project in the near future and just finish off the whole pan, because I think another 100 uses or so and I could knock this whole thing out possibly. So yeah, that is good information. I also had some time to enjoy this shade a little bit, which I really liked. I like that shade as well too. They're very different. This one's kind of a mauvey pinky shade, and this one's more of like a peachy neutrally shade. but I enjoyed both of them. Unfortunately, I never really got a chance to use this bold pink blush or any of the eyeshadows. No, I don't think I used any of the eyeshadows while I was working on that blush. I have enough eyeshadows to work on. I hope to get back to this palette again soon, but for now, this is going back in my office and it is rolling out of this project because my goal was just to hit pan and I did that. And the third palette I've been working on, of course, is my Too Faced Razzle Dazzle Berry palette. I used this 3 times over the past month as well. I have it on today. I've had it on for the last 2 days. I've just, 3 days. I've been wearing the same look on repeat. It was kind of a Hail Mary, hoping that I could hit pan, but it didn't happen. The dip just keeps growing. But there is no pan yet. It is a beautiful shade. I say it every single month. I love this shadow very, very much, but I've been really focusing on finishing off a peachy shade from my Viseart Petite Pro 2 palette. And so I keep doing peachy looks over and over. And this pink look was really put off until it was time to do this update. And then I was like, okay, you better do a few pink looks before the update. But I do think that once I finish off that peachy shade from my Viseart palette, I'm going to focus in on this a lot more because I'm also panning a very bright pink shade that will go well with this. Anyways, that is where I'm at with the 3 palettes I've been working on. I do also calculate my pan percentage in this project because obviously with the goal being to eventually have 100% pan in every palette, I'm just curious to see how my progress is going in that aspect of the journey. And as of last month, I was at 7.9%. I didn't hit any other pans in any other palettes over the past month. That blush pan is the only new pan I have in a palette over the past month. So that brings my total count of pans with palettes, of palettes with pans to 32. So 32 out of 388 palettes now have pans, which brings my pan percentage to 8.2%. I think I remembered all those numbers. We will see. But yeah, I'm pretty sure all of that's accurate. So yeah, we are finally at 8% pan percentage. Very, very exciting. I do think my percentage is going to be going up for next month because I do think I'm going to have pan in some more palettes for sure. Not only the ones that I'm working on in this project, but maybe some other palettes that I've been working on as well. So that is very, very exciting. I am very, very happy that my pan percentage has gone up and that we are out of the 7s and into the 8s now. So now is the time I need to bring in a new palette to replace the blush. Now I am currently working on 4 blushes, which is kind of my max comfort level. Some of them are only in like project 10 uses or have a small usage goal. Others I'm trying to hit pan on, and one I'm trying to finish. But I feel like 4 is enough. So I didn't want to bring in another blush palette to replace this blush palette, but I also didn't want to bring in another eyeshadow because, as you guys know, I am full of eyeshadows and project pans, and I don't want to bring in another one of those too. So I've given it some thought. So I decided the one category that I could bring in another product for is bronzers. I'm currently only panning 1 bronzer at this moment in time. And so I figured, yeah, let's add 1 more bronzer in the mix, and then I'll be working between 2 bronzers. But I think that's like the lowest category of anything I'm working on. So yeah, I'm really excited to be bringing in a new bronzer. I did hit pan on my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer sample that was in my deck of panning a couple weeks ago. So I have just strictly been using my Pink Leopard bronzer that I've been complaining about this whole time for the last like 2 weeks. I'm wearing it today. I kind of feel like it's working. I feel like Pink Leopard and I have finally become friends. It only took like 6 months, but we're on speaking terms. But I am ready to bring in a second bronzer into my makeup routine. I wasn't sure if anybody would be interested in me talking about this, but I did pull several to choose from. I've already chosen. I'm not going to have you guys vote on it. I have already chosen which one it's going to be, but I thought you guys might be interested in seeing what I was choosing between as far as palettes that have bronzers in them. So I figured I'd kind of go through them with you guys. The first one is this Bare Minerals palette. I'm sure this had a name, but I no longer recall what this palette was called, but it's cute packaging, but it is bulky. Look at that. And I never reach for this palette. It is basically untouched, which is crazy because I've had this for a long, long time. But obviously this is the bronzer. It is called the High Dive, and I think it's a nice shade for me. I think I could like that shade, especially now while I have a little bit of a tan. I don't know if it would really work for me as well in the dead of winter, but I also feel like maybe there isn't a ton of product in here. I've watched Rebecca from Panning and Stuff pan some Bare Minerals palettes, and she makes them disappear very, very quickly. Now, she is a phenomenal project panner, way better than me, but it is encouraging when I see her just fly through those pans of powder on her Bare Minerals palettes. Like, maybe I could do that. I don't think so, but maybe there isn't a ton of product, especially since this is a multi-palette. I don't imagine that this is a full-size bronzer. But that was the first option. In the end, I decided not to go with this one, but you know, it's gonna be in the running the next time around that I need to work on a bronzer. Next, I have this old Sephora face palette. This is called The Beauty of Giving Back. And there is a huge pan of bronzer right here. It's kind of an ombre, and it goes from not only from dark to light, but from matte to shimmer. So down here is like a matte deep brown, and then here's like a slightly shimmery mid-tone brown, and then up here is basically like a highlighter. But you could, you know, certainly like swirl your brush between the whole thing. And again, I really would love to work on this, but I decided not to go with that. The next one I was looking at was this e.l.f. Quad, another palette that I've had for years and years, and I don't feel like I've ever really used, maybe once or twice. This highlighter looks like it's been used once, but this bronzer does not look used. And it's a nice lighter. It's out of all these bronzers, it's probably the lightest, which would be a nice winter shade for me. It probably would work for me now in the summer too, but it will definitely work a lot better in the winter. But yeah, I decided not to go with this one either. The next one I decided not to go with is another one of my little Lancome multi-palettes. Like the one I'm also working on in this project, it doesn't have a name, and I'm guessing it was a gift with purchase. But this is the bronzer right here. The bronzer has a name. It's just called Star Bronzer. Bronze Solaire. Maybe it's called Bronze Solaire. I'm not sure. I'm probably not going to be buying a Lancome bronzer anytime soon, but that's either called Star Bronzer, or maybe Bronze Solaire is the French word for Star Bronzer. That makes sense, doesn't it? I bet that's what it is. I bet they both mean Star Bronzer, but one's in French and one's in English. I'm a quick one. Anyways, it's just a nice kind of warm brown shade. I don't see any strong shimmer, but maybe it's a solid, like satiny kind of finish, like matte to satin. And once again, I did not choose this one. The palette that I ended up choosing for this project is just this little itty bitty duo from Ulta Beauty. This was a gift with purchase, and it just comes with a bronzer and a highlighter. And looking at it, I have never worn this. I've never used either of these powders, but just looking at it, I really like the color of this bronzer. I think it could be a little bit orangey maybe, but I feel like it might have a little bit of pink in it, and I like a pinky bronzer. So I'm gonna try that out. I'm also hoping that there's very little product in here, with this being a gift with purchase. I certainly don't think it's a full-size bronzer. And because of that, I'm hoping I can get through this pretty quickly. So I decided to go for this. I feel like it's some low-hanging fruit, but I'm trying to rack up the pans And so I figured this would be the easiest one to work on next. And then hopefully before not too long, I can get to one of these other palettes that are calling my name and start working on one of them. So this is the one I'm going to start working on now. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have a new product to bring into the rotation. And I'm very excited that my pan percentage went up to 8.2%. Yes. Anyways, that is going to be it for this update, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.